everybody. My name is Cynthia Henry, and I am the librarian for the College of Human Sciences and Education. And we're going to learn how to use Word for Graduates today. This workshop came about when I had a lot of faculty asking, can somebody kind of help them learn how to use the templates for the dissertation? Okay, Lauren, I see you say you're most interested in creating templates for the dissertation formatting. Yeah, it's a little bit of a disaster. So we'll get in there and dig that out for sure. And I'll focus on that up front. So we'll make sure we get that done. But I have people asking, faculty asking somebody to teach them how to use templates, but also to do the track changes. Now, I think it just depends on your level of use of Word. If you've been in there for a little bit, you probably know a little bit more about track changes. And if you haven't, then it's kind of maybe new to you. So I don't know about y'all, but as I started to use Google Docs a little bit more, I understood track changes a little bit more because we could all share that one document and make changes. And so I think that kind of helped my brain understand that track changes a little bit better. Okay, so, we have some people in our waiting room. Let's get them in. Hi, everybody that's just coming in. I dropped the link there. That's the page we're on right now. We just got started. We're just doing an intro. So I'm going to go ahead and use this page here, our guide, and talk a little bit about some basic information. Now I'm going to do a lot of tools that maybe you haven't heard of, but I do a lot of Control F, which will help me find something in a Word document. And I also use a lot of Control C, which is copy, and Control V, V as in Victor, and that is paste. And if you happen to be on a Mac, that's all with the command button on a Mac. So if you haven't used those skills before, those are basic things that I want us to all be on the same page using. Control F will help me find something in a Word document, and I'll show you as we use it the first time. And then Control C and Control V, V as in Victor. I'm saying Control C as in copy, C. So, okay. Then I'm going to actually get into looking at some of this information here. I'm going to pull up this. This is our formatting manual for the graduate school. So everything that we're going to learn how to do, we're going to find that out of here. This one has been revised from 2021. And so then I'm actually going to kind of prep the documents with all this kind of basic information. And we'll kind of marry those documents together, get them all into one large document. And I'm just going to leave that open. And y'all should be seeing that on my screen. If you can't see the thesis and dissertation formatting guides, let me know. This should be on my screen now. Now I'm going to click back. Thank you, Luciana, to the other tab. So I'm going to pull this up too. I find this is a quick check for myself. If I click on that, that's going to give me the quick checklist that the graduate school also uses. So you know you're going to get something sent back to you if all of this is not automatically right. They're going to make a note and send it back. So I would just use this as well. And they've kind of got it broken up into the title page, the front matter, the main body, and then the references. So I'm going to use both of these interchangeably. And I'll try to keep you abreast of which one we're on so you can follow me along. And then some more information of what you need to know from the graduate school. You can see there's some different things here. An overview of the master's requirements of a doctoral program, completion requirements. And then here are some deadlines and the writing center, which is always useful for you. And then here is the thesis and dissertation forms. They're here on this page, but I also dropped that same link here. So if you wanted to use this as kind of your home base, you could do that as well. And then I'm going to go ahead and I might as well use this link, get us open into this. So here is our thesis and dissertations forms. So this is what we're going to be looking at. We're the student. Faculty and staff would be using these forms. Here's a formatting manual that I'd already pulled up. And then here is the back matter, the front matter, and the main text. Now I think that is a little bit crazy that they don't number these 1, 2, 3 so that they would get in the right order. But really in this, we would use the front matter first, then the main text, then the back matter. And then they tell you, here's some tutorials on the page numbers and the styles and the table of contents. But I have had a lot of students tell me those tutorials doesn't seem to work when they're using these templates. And so I think that's where some confusion sets in. So let's go ahead and dig in a little bit. What do y'all think? I'm just going to open this front matter one because that's what we're going to be using eventually. So I'm going to open it. Luciana, you're great. You're so interactive in the chat. I appreciate that. So before we get too far into this document itself, some things that I like to use that maybe you don't know about that I can share with you as like a little tip and trick. I like to set up my Word to say the layout, and maybe it's under view. Yeah, it's under view. So I always have this ruler available. Yours may not be checked, and so it may look like this. So I have that ruler there. That immediately shows me where my margins are. If you want that grid line, you can, but I think it gets a little overwhelming. So I can always turn that one on here. However, on the home page, I often use this icon. That's kind of like if you were an editor, these are kind of the old school marks. And it shows you where the paragraph's in, where there's a tab, where there's a space. And so if I turn that on, then I can see the end returns, but I can also see a tab or space. These little dots are spaces. Here's a page break that we'll talk about later. And then I think we will see a tab at some point, maybe only in the table of contents. Let's look at that. Yes, so this is what a tab looks like with that arrow shooting across. So those are things that you may want to look at. So when I can't get Word to do what I want it to do, I look to see what it thinks it's doing, and then I change it accordingly. So sometimes you might have this off and you're like, how come I can't get this to indent where I want it to indent? The minute you turn this on, you can see, oh, because it's centered and has an end return there. And when I say end return, it's kind of like the enter, but it's also kind of like the old school typing. That's the only thing on that line, the end return. And so if you want something else on there, you have to back it up in front of the end return. So, okay. So I'm going to go ahead and turn those off for us, but we may look at those again later because that's my default to kind of see, oh, what's it doing? I don't understand what it's doing. And then let's kind of get in here. Oh, one other tip that I wanted to share with you is under review. I like doing this a lot. I don't know if everybody does this or not. And I'm not sure what it will do in this template, but on my home computer, I do edit. And then it kind of tells me what's happening over here. It helps me find spelling or grammar mistakes, or maybe checks my vocabulary. Or also sometimes we'll let you see how formal your document is. But here, this document stats used to be called readability statistics. And if I click on that, it's going to tell me, it's going to take a second, but it's really not that long. I say okay. And then it brings this up. And this is really helpful for me when I know the abstract can only be 250 characters or 250 words, because it breaks it out in words or characters or paragraphs or sentences. But it also tells me how many passive sentences are in there. I try to write active voice instead of passive voice. And then it kind of tells me the grade level. Now that really doesn't mean much to you when you first start looking at that, but once you do it a little bit, you're like, oh, I consistently write a 13 or 14 level college level according to Word. So let's have that qualifier, right? And this one is only at 11, so that's still back in high school. What have I done to this document? It just kind of helps me check myself. So I often use this. So I'm going to close this, and you can find it again under the review and then under the editor. And I'm going to put us back on the home. So those are just things that I'm going to kind of look for. Let's quickly do our quick things that we have mentioned at the top. If I'm going to search this Word document with a Control F, I do Control F and it will have it over here. And now I can say first, and it's going to find anytime that the word first is listed here. Now that's useful because what if I, for whatever reason, somehow put my name in there wrong and I typed it backwards and I noticed it in one spot? Maybe I need to check all the spots. And maybe my name is not the issue, but maybe a reference that I'm using is a unique spelling and I've got it right in some places and wrong in other places. I just want to double check that. I can find them all. This also allows us to use the find and replace up here if you're not using that as a tool. I think that that is also good. I don't know about y'all, but I'm a little bit older. And so we were always taught to, at the end of a sentence, hit my space bar twice and then start the new sentence. And I'm almost broken myself of that. But on really official documents, I kind of just check, make sure that I only have one space between my sentences instead of two. And if I needed to find that and replace that, I would just say, oh, I need to check to see if there's any find as period space. And then I can find the next and replace it with period space. So let me see. I don't think we're going to find one here. But if I did find one, it would allow me to replace them all real quickly. And I can use all replace or just to replace, find the next one and then choose to replace that or not. So I think that saves me a lot of time when I'm really looking at a large document, because that's what this will be, is a huge, large document. Ooh, we have a few people sitting in our waiting room. Okay. So that is the Control F. And then I'm sure that you're going to see us use, like if I highlight something, I can do Control C, and I will just put it right here. And Control V. Yeah, come on in and sign in. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm late.
Oh, no, you're good. There. I'm going to back up there. And be ready to have that. Okay, Lucy, I'm going to see what your question is. Is there any tool on Word that works as a proofreader or plagiarism checker? I don't know of a plagiarism checker, but that review with that editor, that's kind of your proofer. Go ahead and sign in, and then I'll get you set up. Sorry, we just had somebody walk in that thing. So let's see if I said an L here, it's gonna find it. It's looking, and it will say, what is this word?
I think that I did the registration. Registration is over.
No, you're fine. Just go ahead and sign in, get your computer up and ready. Because I'm also have a class on Zoom. And so whenever you're ready, I'll get you to the right spot. Okay. And then how do I get the toolbar to show? Okay. Yeah, so I think what was that Evelyn that said that? I think this is what's happening with y'all. Let's see. So maybe you're not always ribbon on. And let's see here. Or are you talking about the sidebars? I think you got it. Okay. So in Word, you just have to click always show ribbon if that's what you want. I like that too. That's one of my setups as well. Let me see. So that's a good point, Luciana. It's really, looking at, let's see here, as if there's any spelling, it may not catch this because it thinks it's something else. We'll look at that in another case. It will suggest your word is spelled wrong. It will suggest grammar, like, oh, there's something wrong with this grammar, or maybe you need a comma here. But it will not, I've not used Grammarly much, but it won't write a whole sentence for you. Okay, quickly, I'm gonna show you. You ready? We're gonna be back on this page. You'll need to have that open. And I'll go ahead and drop this in chat too, for anybody that walked in late.
Could you please help me also with its login from ID?
Okay, yeah, type in your URL here.
Will you
That is guide dot
just want to code this together? www.
Guide.
Visual guide.
Yep.
Like if I can't say guide.library.teaching guide. Okay, I will do it.
Okay. And then we have been using these tools here. Look at the screen. We're here, we're looking at these two and the dissertation forms. We've downloaded the front navigation. Okay. What was that? Oh. Would you need that again? Sorry, we had somebody walk in late here and he's trying to get caught up with us. But it's harder to get somebody in the classroom caught up because I can't just drop it in the chat for him. There. Did you get there now? Word, not world. Going there, maybe. TTU.edu. Okay, let's just go a different way. I can go quicker this way, but you wouldn't be able to find this as easily as I can. Henry. I'm at the bottom. There. And yeah. There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Okay, and we had a few come in. Oh, and somebody else is waiting real quickly. So here is the guide again. And on this page, we're looking at these things. We've opened this, and then we're in the thesis and dissertation forms, and we've downloaded this front matter. And that is what is in my Word document. Okay, so now, let's see if we can talk about how we're supposed to do some things. Let's see if our manual, let me minimize this again and look at our manual a bit. As we're starting to set up stuff, I'm just gonna go the basic formatting requirements. And if we do that, we know we're gonna be at page 7 to begin with. So I know that all my pages must have the following margins. It's 1.5 and 1 inch on the top. And do not use mirror margins. That's something that Word allows you to do. So we're just gonna start looking at this stuff and setting up that template that way. As we're in here, anything that's in blue, you should be replacing it. So you would just take this out to begin with. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And then my title would be here. Since this is mine, I would say my first name is Cynthia and my last name is Henry, and then I could take that out. And if I had any currently held degrees here, I put my initials for those degrees there. And then if I was doing a thesis or dissertation, I would take this out, but pick whatever I was going to do. We're going to pretend like it's a dissertation. So we would take it like that. And then my name of my major, and make sure you use one of the official majors listed on your degree. So sometimes people just put the department there, not the whole major. And then whatever you're actually getting your degree in. And then here's your committees. And then it specifically says to make sure you have Mark Sheridan, that's the dean of the graduate school. And then the month and the year. So if I was graduating this semester, I'm defending or I'm submitting this in May, I put May. And then the year of graduation would be 24. And I could get rid of the rest of that and get rid of the brackets now. So then that is good. For now, we have some more information on the title page. That's what this is, it's the title page. And we can look at that real quickly. The checklist talks about this, the front matter. Specifically, the word copyright, you either use a copyright symbol or the word copyright. You cannot use both. It's unnumbered, so the page numbers don't start there. Then we're gonna have lowercase Roman numerals and then Arabic numerals in the main text. So the front matter uses lowercase Roman numerals, and this causes a problem. So we'll have to look at that. And then the rest of the text uses Arabic numerals. And the first page is as the first page of the first chapter. So let's go ahead and start marking some of these and look a little bit more at that margin and then our running headers. So let's see here. Also, let's look at the line spacing that I think is on page 13 here. Let's see if we can find that. It's the next page, yeah. So then we should be using these kind of fonts. That would be a 12 point for Times New Roman or a Cambria, or Tim for if you're going to do Arial or Calibri. And then let's see, line spacing here is 1.5. So let's kind of do some of all of that in our Word doc. We're back into our front matter. I'm going to check on my margins, yeah, under layout. And then here's my margins. So I'm going to click on that. And this one is the last custom setting that I've been using. So the top is the 1 inch like we're supposed to have. And the left is supposed to be 1.5. And everything else is 1 inch. So we can see the top, the bottom, and the right are 1 inch. So that's all set. If you need to change this, you could just click on the custom margins. And I think it popped it over here. Let me drag it over there. What happened to it? Sorry, I didn't click on the right thing. So then I would change it here on the screen and it would say okay. So the next thing, the line spacing, let's make sure that we have it at 1.5 lines. So that is under, let me see, in the home tab, that's right, under paragraph. If you do the little pop out thing here, this little doohickey, I don't know what to call that. It's got a little square and arrow. Then you can see here's our line spacing. So here's our spacing. We would want to make sure that it is 1.5 and apply that. And then our page numbers would be under on page 8 in the manual if you needed to know that. So we'll scoot back up here. Sorry, it's going to be a little bit of back and forth, but we're going to do the bottom of the page center above the bottom margin, 1 inch from the bottom of the page. And so we're gonna, the front matter, remember, is lowercase Roman numerals. So let's go ahead and get that going. And it is centered. Let's see, I'm just gonna double click that because it'll let me get into the footer. You can see that header and footer here. And I can say the header and the footer. And then I can say that these are Roman numerals starting here on this page. You don't put it on the title page and you don't put it on the copyright page. So we should be good here. We'll have to change that up as we get into the main body, but we'll fix that in just a second. Okay, so let's just double check that the copyright, so we don't even have the copyright symbol here, we just have the word copyright, and that would be fine. And then I would want to put here Cynthia Henry, because that's my name. And if I was graduating, and this should be in the center of the page, it doesn't look centered, but it is centered. So let the word do that for you. And you would want to change this to copyright 24 because this is the year. And then I could take this off too. Whoop. Now I cannot take that off because I don't want that to not have that section break. So I need to back up. And so you see, I just immediately went and turned on my little kind of editor icons so I could see where that is. I'm going to take that out, but I don't want to take out the section break because I want that other page to still stay on that second page. This would be the top of the next page. How's everybody doing? We're doing okay? Let's go ahead and think about, I know we have to set up our header, our running header. And so let's go ahead and double click on that since they've got it set here for us. We would take this out. And then Texas Tech should be not italicized, but my name should be italicized. I'm going to take that out. And then again, if I'm thinking I'm going to be in the, oh, I hit the wrong thing. That's not my keyboard. Nope. I need that to be straight up and down. If I think I'm graduating this May, I'm going to put May and then a space in 2024 and take the rest of that out. Now that should be across all the headers now. That's pretty good. And then let's see, we just kind of did the footer in the front matter. We'll have to do the footer in the main text and the back matter before that gets done. But does anybody have any questions so far here? Are we ready to grab the second one and drop it here? I'm going to keep going unless somebody has a question. Okay. Just back on our, okay. Just back here where we have the forms, I'm going to now go to the main text because remember that's the middle. I'm going to click on that. It's going to allow it to populate over here. But how I'm going to marry these together is I'm going to take everything in this one and drop it in my first document here. So we've been moving everything to the front matter template. I'm going to take this and I'm just going to scroll down and get it all. You can do Control All if you want. I'm just going to do this. Say copy or Control C. Now I'm going to go to the bottom of the front matter. Did anybody see something here? Since I have these still turned on, every other section had a page break. And this doesn't have a page break. So I'm going to have to fix that, but I don't want to lose what I just copied. So I'm going to space that down just a bit and then push Control V. So I'm going to scoot back up there and put in a section break at the top of the here. So we need a section break here. Yeah, so we have to put that insert. So it's under the insert tab. Yep, and then we're gonna do, let's see. Usually they have a section break here. Let me see if I can right click that. And let me see if I put the page here. I think that's only a page break. Okay, that's what we wanted, was a page break. Let's make sure that's working right. I think it is so far. Yeah, we look good so far. I'm just gonna check the rest. What we're doing here. Okay, I think we're okay. Did anybody see something happen when we dropped that in there? So now it's changed the Roman numerals to Arabic numerals. Now this is a little bit annoying. So I almost always just wait until I'm closer to the end of the document to do that. But we can change those back because I think that is really why we need the section break. Let me see if I can figure out where that is. It used to be right here, but now I see that it is not still labeled there. And then can I, let's see if I say, tell me more, what is that gonna tell me? I'm gonna say a section break, because it used to be right there. You could have a drop-down menu and say, change just to insert a section break. So, oh, it's under layout now and breaks. Oh, here it is. Sorry, I was just in the wrong spot. So I'm gonna change this. There's a little drop-down doohickey there. Instead of doing a page break, I'm gonna do a section break. Next page. Yeah, this is what we want, the section break. So I'm gonna take this one out. And, oh, is that not, sorry, guys. I wasn't at the bottom of my stuff. So let me undo that. And undo that. And then I gotta get it to, before we get to the chapter, there we are. This is the one where we need the section break. So we're keeping this section different than that section. So we should be able to do this here. Yep. Yeah. Do this. And now this chapter, this is my edit, so I'm gonna pull that back up to the top. And these should be page numbers should be Roman. So let's see here, they are back on the layout. Insert. Here they are. Under insert and page numbers, format your page numbers. We're gonna start, this one should be these. Should be the Roman. And we're gonna start at that. I think it will count it down here. Let's just see if it does. Okay, yes. So all that should be right now. Let's just make sure we're all in the right spot. I'm gonna go ahead and close my header and footer so we can see a little bit cleaner. We're gonna go back to the top. We have our title page. We have no page number, no running header on this page either. The next page should only have copyright information. This should have our running header. What happened to our header? I'm gonna put that back in. Sorry, I don't know why that didn't stay. And let's do May 2024. Even close. And then it probably overrode it when we didn't have our section break in. That's probably what happened. Yeah. And so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then our first chapter should be number 1. Now, let's make sure that we're supposed to start with our pages at number 1. I can't remember, so I gotta go back and look at that document, and if I need to change it, I'll be set to do so right there. So I'm gonna minimize this real quick and see. I don't need this one. This is my main text. I'm gonna go ahead and close that. You can leave it open if you want. But let's see about my page number. Okay, so, and it should start with a double I. So, okay, let's go ahead and fix that. Title page, no number, and then we should start with a double I. So that would be Roman numeral 2. And that should be this, and that's the copyright page. So let's go ahead and fix that by double clicking on that. And doing, remember our layout. I'm sorry. Insert. Yeah. And formatting our page numbers. We're actually going to start at this and say okay. And now we should be good to go. No page number up here. The correct page number is there. And here we are with the correct page numbers here. And then we're on chapter 1. And I'm going to go ahead and close that page because we have the footer open technically. How's everybody doing? We're all okay? Okay, so now let us talk a little bit about our table of contents. It's a little bit messed up because we don't have the right headings. So every time you have a heading here, it has to match. So let's look at that. This one should have a heading, and it has heading, and it doesn't have anything, so that's heading 1 considered. But what is supposed to be in the table of contents should have your acknowledgments, the abstract, the list of tables, the list of figures, and then starting with your chapter titles. And so these are supposed to be all heading 1s. And then these are supposed to be heading 2s and 3s. And if we go to the chapter title, it's supposed to be a heading 1. But if you do that, then it seems like it messes up the table of contents. So we can see that happen when we go to our table of contents, and I'll go ahead and update it for you. And then you can see that it kind of breaks it, and then we'll fix it. So to update my table of contents, I have to go to layout. Nope. Let's see. Insert. Maybe it's under home. Table of contents. Oh, no, that's table of contents. References, thanks. Footer didn't format correctly. I think it just dropped it to the second page. References. Lauren, we'll explore that in just a second. Here we are under references. Here's the table of contents. Since it's set up to supposedly work, when I update the table, you'll see that it kind of breaks. So I'm going to update this table and we'll see what happens. Okay, maybe they have it fixed. Maybe they do. Okay, that's looking good. Okay, I don't see that breaking. All right, well then Lauren, let's kind of fix your page numbers. Again, get to your acknowledgements page. And then we're gonna go double click here. And then remember it's under layout. No, I'm wrong about that. Under insert. And we're gonna open this, format page numbers. And we wanna make sure we change this to here. That's only going to work if you added the page break right here. You feel like you have those pieces and it's still not functioning well, Lauren? Okay, and we might look at that again later. And Lauren, you might send it to me you can just email it to cynthia.henry@ttu.edu. Again, spelled out cynthia.henry@ttu.edu, and I might pull it up and see if that can help us figure out what we're doing. Oh, and look, here's our little notice here. First page after your copyright page should be your double I. And it should begin our running header, which we do have. Okay. So let's keep moving on with our chapters, because I thought we were going to have to fix our chapter headings. And it looks like they've actually fixed the template, which is very nice. That was quite confusing. And then let's see if the introduction is coming up there. Okay, chapter 1, introduction. Oh, this is the problem. So, okay, let's go ahead and look at our manual so we can all know what the problem is. Oh, sorry. So let's do our table of contents and look at this. Let's see if it tells us here. The chapters. Yes, subheadings. Like, if we have an example here, you can see, I don't think we're supposed to have the word, how we have it setting like this now. We have chapter 1. We're not supposed to have that there. We're going to have chapter 1 here, introduction. All chapters that are longer than one line should be single spaced. So if you have really long chapter headings, you have to make just that part single spaced. Everything else should be this single and a half. But so we're not supposed to have this. Let's see if it's on our quick checklist here. Main body here. Yes, there's a clear hierarchy. And then I'm just going to double check here. I'm going to bring that main text down again in a different place. You don't have to. We're just going to look at that as a visual. Oh, sorry. I needed the front matter so we can see the table of contents is really what I'm looking at. But before that, I'm going to go ahead and save mine because we've done a lot of work on my document. And I don't like the auto save on. Maybe y'all do. Leave it on if you want to, but this would have overridden the other document already, and it hasn't for me. I'm just going to click File, Save As, and I'm going to say Cynthia Henry Dissertation 2024. However, I'm going to separate that. I'm going to click Save. And now I'm going to turn that back off because it automatically turns it on. And let's look at this front matter again. I want to look at the front matter so I can see. Oh, you figured it out, Lauren. You want to tell us in the text? Well, it's nice that you figured it out. So, see, we should have that title this way, whatever the title chapter is, not that chapter title that we're seeing in our document now. So let me just pull this over a little bit and we can kind of see that. We scoot back over to mine. Minimize this. Right now, we have chapter 1 and then the chapter title. So she had to change the page break from the first and second page to the section break. Yes, yes. Yeah, you have to have that section break. Okay, so let's figure this out. What we have to now is fix our chapter headings. So even though this, when we get down to that chapter, it's going to be a little scrolly now part. I'm sorry, guys. This, we don't want to show up in the table of contents. This, we want to show up in the table of contents. So this has no header designation. So we're going to put our cursor in the middle of that word. And then we're going to do this little doohickey thingy. And we're going to actually make it a chapter heading, not the heading 1. And if we do that, then I'll take it out of the table of contents. So I'm gonna use this chapter heading 1, and I'm gonna use that little chevron again, that drop down menu, and then I'm gonna modify it. And so the chapter heading should be based on heading 1, but not named heading 1. And it should be 14, and it should be bolded, and it should be, yes, happy to do that. And it should be whatever, no worries, Luciana, style that you're using. Currently, we're in Times New Roman for here. I'm just going to go ahead and say, okay, but I'm going to go ahead and do that again. So if I was just coming down from here, looking here, I'm going to put my cursor in this word that I don't want to show up in the heading 1 table of contents. And I'm going to do this little doohickey right here under the styles. I want to get that little square bracket with the pop out arrow. It's going to bring the styles open. I'm going to label this chapter heading instead of heading 1. So I'm going to use this one. I could use any one of these, but this one seemed to be the most logical one for me, because this is just the chapter heading saying chapter 1, but not the title to the chapter, if that makes sense. Then I'm going to use that little more drop down menu again. And now I'm going to use that modify. And I'm going to make sure that it is named this. It's based on chapter heading 1. We should be bold. We should be size 14. We should be using Times New Roman or whatever else you want to. There was Arial in there, and there was Calibrate. All those, any one of those you want to use, just make it match what you're going to do. So now I'm going to say, okay. And then we're going to make sure that the chapter headings have their own, we're going to make sure our table of contents is looking for the heading 1. So let's see here. Our table of contents should be looking for heading 1. And let's make sure that our chapter title is labeled that. Here, I'm going to do that same maneuver. And it says it's heading 1, but I do think that I'm going to label it, let's see here. Table of contents. Now I'm not going to do this TOA, that is slightly different. So I'm going to go ahead and use this TOC. I'm going to use this TOC heading. And I'm going to use that drop down and modify it. And now I want to make sure that this is supposed to be centered text. It's supposed to be size 12. If I'm really using the Times, New Times Roman, I need to get back down to New Times Roman. Oh, too far. And that's what I had kind of selected on my temporary one here earlier. Well, maybe that's further back up than I thought it was. Here. It's Times New. Sorry, got that. I get that confused in my head. It's Times. So let's do Times. There it is. So you can set it to whatever you want. You shouldn't see anything change yet until we update the page on the table of contents. Okay, so we're basing on a heading 1. We're labeling this as the table of contents heading. We say okay. So now when I go back up here, I'm going to go ahead and close this up. But when we're back in the table of contents, we should have the acknowledgements, all of these listed. This should disappear. This should be coming up. And we're going to update that under references, update the table. update the page numbers are. We're gonna do the entire table because we've changed headings. Whoop. That did not work the way it was supposed to. Let's see, why is this still in here? Yes, you could change the chapters names too. Oh, okay. So you would just type right here and change it. Or you can type it down here. Really, if you wanted to change that, you would change it here. I'll just change it here. So I'm gonna take the heading 1 out and say, motor skills, something simple here. So we can see it change. Now that's really long. You wouldn't really have that long. But that chapter 1 should be coming out of there now. So let me see what I've done here. I'm going to go back over there to my home tab. Maybe I have to highlight the whole thing. Your pop out, your modify. So I usually only want it to apply to this document. And I say, okay, that should be, maybe we have to actually change this to something else. I haven't done that in the past. So let's see here if that fixes it. And this is heading 1, that should be right. And this is heading, we should be able to see that now here. Okay, maybe that's part of the problem. Let's make sure that it's used for this document, modify. And let's see, add to sound space on format. Automatically updates. Okay, let's see if we can say that. Say options. I think we're okay there. Let's say that. I'm going to update that chapter again, that table of contents, and see if it changes here. And remember, we're doing the whole table. So you see my motor skills came in there, but that is not leaving. Let me see what is happening here. I'm going to look at that. Oop, I've got too many things highlighted. Nope. All right, let's move down here and come back up here. Let's see what the home thing is. That is abstract. It's still highlighted. That's annoying. Forget is not reading that right. Let me see if I can see. All caps 12 center. That's what we've been doing. I'm gonna scoot down there and do one more time, see what happens. It's like it's not reading that one that I'm setting up to use it, but it's showing it. Show preview, maybe we can see that. Maybe I have to fix something on here now. Paragraph formatting really showed next heading. This document only, yes, I wanted to apply all styles in this document. And that is, maybe this one is not working right. Maybe I should just pick a different one. Usually that's the one I use, so I'm not sure why that is throwing a fit. Let me see if I can find something else. I think that is the best one to use there. If I double click here, does something happen? And what does this say? Okay, update based on, update. Oh, maybe that's, yes. Maybe it was not reading that. Okay, and usually it shows up here, but I don't see it showing up here. So, apply styles. Sorry, guys. Usually it's just sitting right here and we can use it for the rest. I'm not sure why that is not showing up. Have to kind of figure that out and see what happens. Select how built-in name, hide, built-in name, show next one. And previous level is used all styles alphabetical. I'm gonna try one more time and see if that did anything different. But I think it's seriously not showing up here, and usually it does show there. And when I say reapply, it does nothing. And it is highlighting that. Oh, I'm gonna add it to the styles gallery. That's what I think is not happening. So let's see if that happens, if that changed it. It does show up here now. Let's see if that helps at all. And we'll go back up to our references and update our table one more time, the entire table. See if we were successful this time. Yep, it's still in there. Because it's reading this. And let's see what the table of contents is doing. Customize the table of contents. So, okay, we want this to not be in here. So we want this to be removed. It's looking at the front matter. It's three long. We have. So we need that to be removed. Let's modify this. Okay. I think we have to move something here, guys. I have not had to do this step in the past, so let's see what we can figure out. We need to take this out. This here's index. What's over here? I can't get to any options. Chapter heading. No. I'm gonna take that out. Okay. Yes. Whew, that was hard. Did everybody get it? Let's go again. So we have to be in the table of contents. I'm going to close this and open it all again. Table of contents. We're going to customize the table of contents. We're going to, oh, look, it saved it the wrong way. So we're going to get this removed. We have to do the modify. Nope, I'm sorry, guys. We have to do the options. We're going to take this out. And we're going to say, okay. And then, okay. And replace this table of contents. Okay. Yes. Ooh, that's a new level I had not seen. They must have updated Word and I didn't realize it. Sorry about that, guys. Did everybody kind of follow that? I can do that one more time. How are you doing down there?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So let's go ahead and look at our, that was right. Yes, it is being recorded and I'll have it posted. So yes. Okay. Let's look at our template that we were looking at. Remember, this is the chapter title, not that word chapter that we were just trying to get out. So our example, when we first download the front matter, we just have the acknowledgements, the abstracts, list of tables, the list of figures, and then we start with our chapters. And that's what we should have now. Acknowledgements, table, oh, we don't want the table of contents, so we've got to change this one too. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to highlight it. I'm going to go back to the home tab because we got to take it off of heading 1. I'm going to see if I can just put it as a chapter. It kind of made it bigger. We don't want it bigger. We need to make sure that that is right. Let's see there. Let's see, undo that. I'm going to undo that real quick. Heading 1, what does it say it is? I'm going to look at heading 1 real quick and look and see what the point is. 14. So let's see what the table of contents ends up being when I do that, I'm going to look at the heading chapter, modify it. It still is also 14. Why? I'm gonna make sure it is really 14 and say okay. Is this 14? It says it's 14. I swear it looked bigger. And what is this? This is 12. And is heading 1 supposed to be, oh, I didn't mean to do that. Is heading 1 supposed to be 12 or 14? Let's go look at our manual and find out before we get too many things changing. But I think now with us labeling this as the chapter, it will take that out. I'm going to run that real quick and then go check on our styles. Yes. So now we should have acknowledgements, abstracts, list of tables, list of figures, and we start with our chapters. Let's go ahead and double check that our chapters are supposed to be 14 and the other is supposed to be, this is supposed to be 12. So let's double check that. I don't think it is that now, so we need to change that back on the home page. I'm going to change this chapter thing. Under the Modify, it's 14. I think it's supposed to be 12. Say okay. Okay. And then we're going to update that one more time and we should be pretty well to go. So we should check that our page numbers are still right. Yes. And the first the first chapter should start on page 1. It is this. And then let's look at our manuals and see what we need to do with our chapters and things. Let's see if it will tell us where it is, the basic information. So our headers, footers, title page, acknowledgements, that's optional, table of contents. Let me read that. All preliminary page image, table of contents. Double lined, that's what we've got it as. Should we title this? Does it tell us how big this one should be? No. Doesn't really say. I'm going to go back to the front matter template that we had downloaded before. Sorry. And look at that. Do we have one of those open? No, that's me. I'm going to look here real quick and see if they say anything in here. What is it identified as? This is 12. And this is 12. And then the table of contents is in the next matter. The chapter is identified as 14. So let's just make sure all that is right in our document. I'm going to go back up to the top. Come down. These should be 12. I'm going to change it to home so I can see that change. That's 12. 12. These are supposed to be 12 too. And then 12. And 12. And then I'll check this one more time. And then our chapter, this should be 12. This should be 14. Did everybody kind of get that? We can look again at our documents to verify that you can see that. I'm going to scoot back up so we can find the chapters area. Let's see. I don't think it really has the specific chapters other than the main format text. Okay. They've got tables in the chapter. Oof. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm getting a little warm. I might have to step out for a second. Let me run to the restroom real quick and I'll be right back. Sorry about that. Oh gosh, guys, I'm sorry. I was just so warm there for a second. And then I got to drink the water fountain, got water all over me. So, okay. Here we are, where we're just focusing on, making sure that we're right with our chapter sizes, the font sizes. So let's look at that information, here. Let's see here. If we can see, like the titles, I was kind of looking for if we had a chapter, okay, the headings. If we had line spacing, if we had font sizes. I'm gonna scoot back up and see if it tells us in the font information. Let's see here. This up and down too is like, ooh, the back and the forth. Let's see. Font matter, front matter. I'm looking for just, maybe it's just here. Page layout. Footers. Doesn't really say. Maybe it's on the checklist. Let's look in there. If there's anything here. Television sections. Chapter titles, here we are. Level 1, that's what we have, the chapter titles and the front matter sections. Okay, I think we're all okay there. It doesn't say the Pacific font size, but I might even look real quick here and see if I can find a font size. Okay, that's at least talking about fonts in the main text. Let's look at that. So it looks like it should be 12 point or 10 point, but that is just for the main text. I was kind of looking at those titles, the heading titles, it doesn't really say. It's own page and should have chapter and a number on the line above the chapter title. Yeah, we know that. We've got that set up. Okay. Alrighty, then. I think that's all good. So then our next thing that we might want to look at is putting in the back matter. While I was away, did anybody figure out something that they wanted to address before we moved on from here, before we added the back matter? Okay, I'm gonna just get the back matter done here. And I'm gonna open that one more time here. I'm gonna copy that just like I've been copying the others. Before I do that though, I'm gonna make sure that my document has a section break at the end of this page so that we know we can start on the right one. Oh, look at that. It is not right. Let's look at chapter 2, or chapter 3 is not right. So chapter 3, let's see. This, okay, there must be a section break here that shouldn't be here. Let's double check that. I'm gonna go back to the home page and turn on my things. Because this should still be in the section above, but it is not acting right. I did see a section break up here. Maybe this doesn't need to be a section break, but maybe the tables do need to be. And we need to make sure that this is continuing. So I'm going to go ahead and fix these numbers. This should be, I think it's under insert, yeah. These are going to format our page numbers down here. We're going to say continuing from the previous section, because if the tables and the figures need to have their own section, then we would want to continue from that. And then we would want to say that it was starting from page continuingly. So we want numeric and, oh, if it's continuing, then we don't have to say starting. I think we should be okay here. Let's see what happens. And I bet you that is what happened. Was it Luciana or Lauren that had that page problem? And I bet you this is what was the problem. Okay, you were just ahead of the game there, girl. All right, I'm gonna make sure that, okay, great. That our, because we're in a new section, I wanna make sure, I'm gonna close my header and footer here. I'm gonna make sure that this is right. It is right. I'm gonna make sure it is right. It is right. This is 12. This is 14. That all looks good, so we should be good to go there. I wanna make sure that we've entered a new, page break here. I'm gonna say next section. And then we can put the back matter in here. So I've downloaded the back matter. I just need to copy it and put it over there. And then I'm gonna put it back on mine at the bottom here because we don't have anything else here. And then we should be good to go. Now you'll notice my page numbers get a lot shorter than the example, but remember, we only have a pretend one chapter and then the start of a pretend other chapters. I mean, y'all's chapters are gonna be a lot longer than that. Okay, so now we have that all in one place. I'm gonna go ahead and save as again. And say okay. If you're automatically saving, you should be okay. Just make sure you've changed it to something else. And that is all I was really going to talk about here. Does anybody have any other questions about the formatting here? I know, Lauren, you were really focused on this. Have we answered some of those questions for you? Should we update the bibliography and make sure that we're, the table of contents and make sure we're in the right spot? Oof. Table of contents, the entire thing. And let's see, our bibliography should be down here. Okay, so if there is nothing else here, I'm going to go ahead and move over to the track changes information. That's going to be back on our main page here. I'm going to pretend to use this Bassett Towns. And I guess I should have brought some water with me. I'm sorry. I'm going to run and get another drink of water. I'll be right back. I apologize. I have to keep stepping out. I should be right back though. Okay. Let's see if we can get this last part done. We'll be ready to go. Okay. So I'm really going to open this Basset Hounds track changes is what I'm going to use. It's downloaded up here. So let's kind of talk about this. It automatically tells me that the track changes is enabled. Say okay. And if I go into the review, I can see those items here. So if I turn on the track changes, it makes it gray a little bit, real light gray. If it's off, it's kind of the same color as the rest of the ribbon. So I can look through here. Kimberly has made edits. She's identified as purple. Jenny has made edits, and she's identified as this kind of, or I guess they used to have them separated out in different colors. Well, where is Jenny? Let's see if I can see. No, it's also purple. They used to have them in different colors. And you can go ahead and see if you get a document back, you could just go in here. This has got all the markup on it. I can look at the simple markup on it. So it's a little bit easier to read. I can look at the no markup on it. And then just the original. So if I go in here and start saying, I'm going to look at these and track the changes, and maybe my professor has sent this back to me and I need to agree with their edits, I can just say accept. And then it will let me say accept or accept and move to the next. And so you can see it starting to change. Or if I think it's all great, I can say accept all changes. Maybe in a really long document, I mean, your dissertation could be up to 130 pages or longer, right? And so you may not want to go through all of those little edits. Maybe you do, but this is really nice to keep it. You can just say, accept this change, accept and move to the next one, accept all of them, and stop tracking changes. That's how you kind of work with that. I'll do one or two more so we can see that. And so you can see now my document is starting to look a lot cleaner at the top. If I have a comment on here and say, oh, do we need to cite so-and-so here? Oh yeah, maybe I really did need to cite that, and I could cite it real quick. And then say, this has been resolved, and delete the thread, or add a comment back to my professor and say, wait, no, this is not the Frederickson citation that we need. This was my own writing, or, you know, this was actually Smith that said this, whatever you want to do. And you can just make a comment by doing a new comment. You can see that, or you can delete a comment. You can look at the previous and the next. That's also, as you're moving through here, you can see what your professor has identified. And maybe your whole committee, right? So maybe the chair has done the first draft, but maybe the committee members get in there and do a second or third comments. So once you feel like it's all done and you're good to go, you can, do, like I said, do all the accept changes and stop tracking. And I'll do that real quick now. You can see it's all good. We do have to resolve these, or else they'll still be in the document. Does anybody have any questions about this part? Oh, and look. Sometimes when you've done some of the track changes, you can't see what it really is, so we need to fix them. And this is just that is not a word that is known well by Word. And you can see I have all my information on, so I'm going to turn that off so that makes it a little bit cleaner. There we go. Did anybody find anything else in there? Okay. Yes, please. Any other formatting issues we want to tackle before we wrap up? And I'll send this out to everybody just as soon as I get it processed. I'm hoping by the end of Friday, but most likely next week. Okay. Thank y'all all so much for coming. I really appreciate it. I hope you learned something. I'm going to stop recording now.